I set out to become the ultimate Jiu-Jitsu black belt. In doing so, I challenged 6 gym leaders spanning the US. Having just arrived at the 3rd gym in our route, we have to take a few students on before finally getting to face the black belt. First up is a dangerous blue belt named Zach. I start from bottom and Zach menacingly walks towards my guard, waiting for me to open up. He flares his arms as some sort of primal fear war tactic, then launches himself onto a diving Kimura, nearly taking off my arm. Luckily, I placed a frame in at the last second, and I was able to deflect his attack. Zach is still gunning for an early submission. He ends up weaving his wrist under my foot and attempts to crank on an ankle lock. Unfortunately for him, this isn't my first time defending this move, so I raise my hips and slip my ankle out of his grip. Once it's free, I double down on his wrist to make sure he can't attack it again, and I let him know I didn't appreciate that by sticking my dogs in his face. I'll follow that up with an arm drag, but Zach manages to keep his balance and drops 170 pounds of white boy on me, making it incredibly difficult to rise back up. If you guys are interested in upgrading your BJJ closet, make sure to stay to the end of the video so I can show you how to win free jiu-jitsu gear from my sponsor YJJS brand. Stuck on bottom, I try to make the most of it by inserting a shin lever, but Zach is doing a good job at shutting me down with the wizard. Realizing that I'm just getting swashed, I traded my shin lever for a half guard configuration and I try to come up under Zach's right shoulder. Zach tries to counter with a Darce choke, but because his knee is torqued due to my half guard ankle hook, it prevents him from advancing forward. He continues to drive in with the wizard, but after adding more depth to my underhook, I climb out his back and nearly come on top. This might be a good time, however, to mention a very important detail. During my trip to the cellar, I was dealt an unfortunate injury to my knee.
And now it's just really painful to kneel on, so there's no knee slices, no single legs. Pretty much my whole game is shut down.
I do want to preface this with, this only hurts my offense, and in no way am I making an excuse for being bad defensively. My opponents are talented and I don't want to take that away from them because I'm being a bitch. Anyway, as I try to enter the legs, Zach takes that as his cue to play combat jiu-jitsu and lets a few shots fly. I manage to roll him over, but as I try to reconfigure my legs to saddle, he uses that space to push off my hip and free his leg from the entanglement. In doing so, I used his escape as an opportunity to come up on top, and I completely butcher it by standing straight up and walking right into his guard. I get punished accordingly for my laziness, and Zach throws my legs over his hips and starts locking up onto a knee bar. In the midst of trying to figure out which way I'm supposed to roll, Zach tightens up the submission by bringing it across his chest and under his armpit, then hips in to finish the first submission of the round. As we get going again, I wrap him up into one of my most dangerous guards, reverse de la Hiva. I'll then use a kiss of the dragon to severely off-balance Zach. However, he keeps control of my right leg, preventing me from inverting all the way to his back. He then counters by dropping down onto a toe hold, so I immediately extend my leg to negate it. I try weaving Zach into a leg lock of my own, but unfortunately just watching Craig Jones highlights isn't enough to become a world-class leg lock specialist, and he'll use this to come up on top. Fortunately, as he starts to come up, I capture his foot and he rises into 50-50. Now what I should have done is sent his leg to the shadow realm via heel hook, but out of fear of my knee being crushed as he rolls, I don't take that chance. Zach goes for a very unfortunate rolling back take, completely disengaging him from the position and putting us back in a neutral state. With some mediocre hand fighting, I fall to my back, and as Zach goes for a leg drag, I hit him with a fairly disrespectful guard protection technique. He definitely didn't like that and came back with a lot more force, securing the guard pass. Things take a turn for the worst as I mistakenly expose my back and Zach wastes no time hunting for another submission. I try to flatten my hips to the floor, but he uses a knee lever to pick my hips up and secure double hooks, giving him complete control over the position. All I can rely on now is hand fighting, but he'll make quick work of that by wrapping me up into a straitjacket system and trapping my arm under his leg. Then with all the pieces set, he shoots his arm under my chin to finish our rear naked choke. Getting ran through like that definitely took a toll on my ego, and I decided to drop the piss poor attitude and make something happen before the round ends. This time I stand up and it's game on against Zach. While I can't shoot to my left, I realize that I actually have 2 legs, and I shoot my first ever low outside single to the right. Miraculously, it works and I'm able to score a takedown over Zach. I stand back up and begin to work on my passing techniques. However, after building up a bad habit of walking tall into people's guards over the last few days, I get caught with a dummy sweep, putting me back down. Determined to find a submission, I come back up fast and stand right into Zach's trap of single leg X. To deal with this guard, I peel the outside leg and backstep as he weaves it under my groin. Then using his momentum, I slide past his guard with a Toriando and jump into an armbar. Zach pushes me away, so I swing my hips around and land in side control. I start to climb my way into mount, and as Zach shrimps to the side, I latch onto a mounted guillotine. With very piss poor finishing mechanics, Zach is able to keep his neck safe, but falls victim to my trap. With his head and arm isolated, I control the inside elbow from touching the ground and start to work my left leg under his shoulder. While at first I was targeting a mounted triangle, as time went on I realized switching the angle of my attack could prove to be more effective. So I sit back and allow my legs to come over Zach and I put him into a rear triangle. Using the dilemma Kevin used against me, Zach was focused on blocking the lock and abandoned saving his arm. So I capitalized on that by hipping in and claiming the final submission of the round by rear triangle armbar. While this was nowhere near my best performance, I definitely turn it up in the next one, so give me another chance by hitting that subscribe button and checking back in with my next roll against one of the most hated blue belts on YouTube, Josh. Once again, check the link in the description to enter to win over $175 worth of grappling goodies. Head over to my Instagram at Carsahh and follow the rules in this post. YJJS brand has my favorite designs and styles on the training gear market, so don't miss your chance to get it for free.
I'm gonna be a good little elf, and I'm gonna take care of Carsahh.